Hello everyone. This video is going to focus on reducing clauses to phrases. If you are a little bit concerned about what a clause is and what a phrase is, I encourage you to watch what I call video 1, which is about sentence structure and where I define what a clause is and what a phrase is. So let's get started. Well, some people would ask, why do I want to reduce anything? Well, there can be a couple of reasons. One, you want to make your sentences a little faster to read, a little shorter to take up less space, and sometimes you have information that doesn't need to be repeated. Let's take the sentence. After Sam ate the pizza, he had a stomachache. Well, notice that what we have here is Sam is the subject of the adverb clause here, and he is the subject of the independent clause here. He had a stomachache. In other words, we have the same subject in both, the adverb clause and the independent clause. So we don't really need to mention Sam twice. We can end up writing a sentence like this. After eating the pizza, Sam had a stomachache. So you might ask, well, how did we get from that first sentence to this reduced clause? Well, like I said, we have Sam mentioned here in the adverb clause, and we also have him mentioned here in the independent clause. So what we're going to do is get rid of Sam here, get rid of he here, and just put Sam over here in the independent clause. So now we're only going to mention Sam once. But notice what we've done. We have gotten rid of the subject in the adverb clause. Well, what that means is if we've gotten rid of the subject, then our verb here in this adverb clause cannot have any tense because there's nobody there to do it. But what we can do is change the tense to a tenseless verb. In other words, a participle. Because participles don't have any tense. So what we end up with is after eating the pizza, Sam had a stomachache. Also notice that the adverb after can have a clause after it. In other words, it can have a subject and verb after it, but it can also have just a phrase after it. So we don't need to get rid of after. Okay? So that's how we reduced an adverb clause to an adverb phrase. Okay? Let's try another one. Because the barbarian princess was strong, she was able to fight the ogre. Well, you might be able to guess already what we can get rid of. Because the barbarian princess was strong, she was able to fight the ogre. What do you think we can move? Right, the barbarian princess and she are the same individual. We don't really need to mention her twice. So let's go ahead and get rid of the barbarian princess, get rid of she, and simply put the barbarian princess here. But also notice that since we have gotten rid of the subject in the adverb clause, because the barbarian princess was strong, we have a tense here, was. Well, we can't have a tense because we don't have a subject in the adverb clause. So what can we do? Correct. We can change was to being. Being has no tense. But there's something here that's still not quite right. And that is because. Because shows reasons, right? Because has to have a subject and verb following it, though. And we no longer have a subject and a main verb in the adverb clause. So we're going to have to get rid of because. And that's going to leave us with this. Being strong, the barbarian princess was able to fight the ogre. So notice what we've been doing. We've been setting up in the adverb phrase just the context, the idea of something. We don't know who is involved. We don't know when. All we have is an idea of something. So being strong is an idea. There's no tense, there's no main verb, and there's no subject. It's just considered a phrase. We will know who and when once we get to the main sentence or the independent clause. So we know the barbarian princess is who we are referring to, and we now know that it's in the past tense. It was in the past tense. So being strong, the barbarian princess was able to fight the ogre. Let's do one more. While the queen was reading, she heard a strange sound. Did you get this? While reading, the queen heard a strange sound. Do you remember how we got there? Oh, there's the original sentence. Right, the queen and she are the same person. So let's get rid of the queen. Let's get rid of she and move the queen here. So now we're only mentioning the queen once, but there's still one thing we have to do, right? Correct. We can't have tense. We cannot have was. So let's change was reading to just simply reading. And now we have no tense. While, the adverb, while, can have a subject and verb after it, or just a phrase. So we don't need to get rid of while like we did because. So that means we will end up with, while reading, the queen heard a strange sound. Okay. So what have we learned? When reducing clauses to phrases, you have to have the same subject in both the adverb clause and the main clause, or the independent clause. They have to be the same noun you are referring to, or else you cannot reduce them. When you eliminate the subject in the adverb clause, there can be no tense in the verb in that clause. So like we changed was to being, for instance. You have to make sure you change the tense, or make sure there is no tense in the verb. And 3, remember that some adverbs, like because, will need to be omitted since they must be followed by a clause, not a phrase. So hopefully this will help you start to tailor your own sentences, and you can have a little bit more command over whether you want to mention your subject twice for emphasis, or only mention your subject once in complex sentences, just to make the reading and the writing go a little faster. So until the next video, I thank you very much for watching.